This video is the presentation of Robin Curtis, the actress who has been in several Star Trek um, movies, and she was in also The Next Generation, among other things. But I want to preface this video because there are other things in this video that make it worth watching. It's worth watching alone, just about her, but there's also a lot of info in this video about OTOY and unification and the direction that the Roddenberry archives and OTOY are headed in. For instance, possibly a actual working real holodeck. Anyway, I got the lead designer's autograph, Neil Smith, I believe his name is. There was two Neils. That's why I'm thinking Smith is the correct one. Anyway, two Neils at OTOY that I am aware of. But he's like the lead design supervisor for OTOY over Star Trek. And the information he gives is amazing. If you're a Star Trek fan, if you're a fan of the OTOY vignettes, you will enjoy this video. And it's like the rest of the videos that I'm going to be putting up, because sometimes you'll go to a presentation and you pretty well know what you're going to hear. That's not true a lot, and it's not true on these videos, these presentations that I went to. There's information even the deepest Star Trek fan may not be aware of, and there's gold in these videos. And I recorded several hours. I'll be posting them. I got permission from Wonderfest, and those that are able to give permission. So enjoy, and I encourage you to watch these videos, because there is some pretty cool stuff in all of them, and especially this one. If you're a Star Trek fan, you should be excited.
And wouldn't you know, I'm in Ticonderoga last November, and I meet a young guy. Now everybody, I call anybody younger than 60 a kid, because I'm way older than 60. But so this gentleman, probably late 40s, early 50s, he mentions he's from Millville. And I'm like, oh my God, I was so meant to see you today, because I've been wanting to reconnect with someone from Wonderfest, to tell them what sweet memories I have with my time there, and this damn T-shirt, right? And his name is Jason Bavona, and he immediately reconnected me with Lee and all the folks here, and lo and behold, I'm standing in front of you 6 months later. So yeah, I love that about life, the synchronicity. You know, if you ever ask yourself, what's the point? What's the point of going the distance, hanging in, staying healthy, keeping on breathing? Well, I'll tell you, it's well worth it, because circles come full, love is enriched, reconnections happen, shit that you can't even imagine happens. Somebody's standing before you to say, I'm sorry, and you're saying, for what? And it turns out, he was your boyfriend in high school and didn't treat you very well, and you run into him in a Wakeman's parking lot. And I said, oh my God, you felt bad all these years? You just made me stronger. And, so anyway, last year, I just caught Neil's eye. Last year was without a doubt one of the best years of my life. And I jokingly say, and I didn't even get laid that much. So clearly, I'm talking about something else. So out of the ether comes this email in January of 2004 from a gentleman by the name of Ethan Teller. And he starts off by declaring who he is. He works with the nonprofit arm of a company called OTOY, and it's called the Roddenberry Archives. And I'm immediately making the total wrong presumption. I'm thinking, oh, they want to interview me before I die. You know, that Kirstie Alley unfortunately kicked the bucket, and they're reaching out to the actors before they croak. And I'm thinking, sure, I love. So I wrote back, you had me at hello. Yes, I'll be there. Whatever it is, I'm coming. And then it turns out to be something completely different and so spectacular that I couldn't have even begun to comprehend it at the time he sent me that initial email. So what I'd like to do with you all today is pause for a moment. I'm gonna eat up some of our special time together, because for those of you who haven't seen what they did with me last year, the work that we did together, I want you to see it. It means the world to me. And I might get emotional with you guys a few times. Yeah, it means a lot. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to play, and I'm going to let you do it from I'm not too good with
the loss of my father. He did live long enough to see the film in June of '84, and he died in November of '84. It was lovely as a young woman in Hollywood trying to do this impossible thing and carve out a career as an actress, to at least have my father believe or be convinced that I would be okay in such a crazy industry. That was a lovely thing that Star Trek gave me, that it might have given him a little peace of mind about his little girl off in Hollywood, you know. As an actress, I was so, I think insecure is an accurate word. I was so insecure about whether or not I was going to deliver. I was just 2 feet on the ground in the moment, wanting to make sure I did what I was hired to do, especially as the newcomer. Always keeping in mind that Leonard Nimoy would say, Vulcans have 1,000 years of wisdom behind the eyes. Can I manage that? You know, can I convey that? And the idea that he asked me to work in a mirror and try not to use my face while I speak. You know, that was something I practiced. And I just wasn't sure if I was going to be able to nail it. But then I shook his hand the first day of work and I said, you know, Mr. Nimoy, you seem to think I know what I'm doing, but I really don't. And he reassured me, and he promised he would take me every step of the way, and that he would never put me out on the end of a limb and leave me dangling there. And I said, okay, you got a deal. So before every scene, he would say, come here, let me hear it. I'd be like, okay. And I'd say the lines, David is dead, whatever it was. And he'd say, drier. I'm like, okay. And, you know, another actor might have been offended by a line reading. You know, if a director gives you a line reading, not me. I told him, you just tell me what you need. He helped me and gave me that time to get it where he wanted it to be. I did not view Star Trek II. I did not see Kirstie Alley's performance, a very deliberate choice on my part. My portrayal was very much a collaboration with heavy leaning on my part on Leonard Nimoy. One of my favorite moments is at the end of Star Trek III. He took me aside and he said, Robin, how would you feel if you were on a New York City street and you were to encounter someone you've been intimate with, someone you loved, and you hadn't seen in a very long time? And I'm hearing the question, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so big, this is so big. I looked up into his eyes, and I came back down again, and he said, that's it, that's what I want. I'm looking into his eyes as Spock. Is he here? Is he back? Does he remember me? Like, he just had this way of disarming you and getting you out of your own way, which was so lovely, and something I was enormously grateful for. That's how he directed me that closely, and how generous he was. He had a beautiful way with his supporting cast, if you will, Michelle and Jimmy and the whole gang. And then he had a lovely way of explaining to Christopher or myself, okay, so this is what's happening. He always embraced us into the supporting cast. And Bill Leonard very diplomatically accommodated him and made sure that the rest of us were taken care of. So I thought he did a magnificent job. And I felt like I had a unique point of view in all of that, because I didn't have preconceived notions. I just watched. I watched it all happen around me. And I thought, Leonard treats everybody the same way. I mean, obviously he gives Bill a little deferential treatment, but he did it in a way that wasn't offensive, and maybe it was necessary. He did it magnificently. By the way, he was aware that my dad was battling cancer, and he reminded me so much of my father, both tall, handsome, same generation. He was very sensitive to that, which was really sweet. I can easily talk about Leonard Nimoy and how much I admire him, and still do, and what a lovely human being he is. I wish I could remember when I saw him last. It seems to me it was in a hotel kitchen, and he was coming off stage, and I was going on stage. And he was just as I remembered him, classy, elegant, articulate, present, and he immediately shook my hand and embraced me and acknowledged me. You know, I didn't really quite realize how much Harve Bennett and Leonard Nimoy did mean to me until they both died. And I thought, wow, two men who changed my life forever just left the planet. I don't know how to say it any better. You know, as an actress participating in a franchise that goes on, right? It doesn't end. It was very interesting, and I had hoped for more, but I accepted what was. At the time we shot Star Trek IV, that I was left there on Vulcan, you know, with Spock's mother, and saying goodbye to the crew and to Spock especially. I didn't know what to expect because such a juicy tidbit had been left unresolved. You know, is Saavik pregnant with Spock's child? And all of the potency, you know, of that was left there to dangle, like unresolved, unrealized. You know, to some extent, you kind of just have to take a deep breath and accept it. You know, it's really a lesson in surrender and acceptance. The artistic license, you know, that people take with these characters and these storylines. And I couldn't have imagined a more beautiful way to celebrate the 40th anniversary, which happens to be this year, of the release of Star Trek III, and where Saavik, the character, was left, where we left her. I can't think of a more beautiful way to see her again than the way OTOY and the Roddenberry Archives chose to portray her. What a beautiful circle come full to now see her play out this storyline, which I understand originated and was inspired by the novel Vulcan's Heart, in which Spock and Saavik marry. What a delicious plot point that is. And now much further in time, and she has a grown son that she had with Spock. It was life-altering, it really was, and a lovely way to bring Saavik back, to revive her. And I didn't really know what to expect from this moment. So it wasn't really until I got here, and now I'm being shown a costume that is just crazy beautiful. The moment I put it on, I felt like royalty. And then the makeup, I didn't realize I was going to be aged. I didn't realize this moment took place in the distant future. And so there I was, looking at myself in the mirror. It's hard to explain. I just remember thinking, oh my God, Saavik lived a good life. This woman lived a good life. She had purpose. Her life had meaning. It's like life had been good to this character. And I just didn't expect to feel that. I just didn't expect to feel anything close to that depth of emotion. That is expertise and excellence that I have such admiration for. These people worked really hard and made me believe myself that I was Saavik. How profoundly being invited to come out to play and give Saavik a coda meant to me, and little did I know, you know, I continue to learn the backstory, guys, of all of this. The idea that Jules Urbach, who is the CEO of OTOY, I want to actually use my cheat sheet because these guys are so accomplished. It's insane. He imagined and he created unification. He was inspired by the interview that he did with Bill a couple of years earlier, during which he learned that Leonard wouldn't speak to Bill. Months before he died, Bill made attempts to say goodbye to his friend, and Leonard refused to see him. And so Jules, so like elegantly and brilliantly, knit Star Trek canon and lore with these deep, real, true life, situations. He brought together the two characters at the end of Spock's life. And he also felt, I guess some people always felt that the deaths of these characters on screen weren't really given their proper due and gravitas. And so, again, Jules conceives this idea, let's put Kirk on a planet in the future. I don't even understand this stuff myself. Neil, like Kelvin, what, the timeline? I don't know. No, I'm serious. Like I don't really get all of that. But here's what's beautiful about the film, and I'd like to watch it with you if you would indulge me once more, another 8 minutes. Is that you don't have to understand all of that. All you have to do is watch and listen, and with so few words, you get it. You just get it. And I wanna give special chops to or props. Is it chops or props? Chops and props to the director, Carlos Baena, because Neil. I mean, this was a very personal assignment for him. What's the matter? What's the matter? Are you telling me to shut the hell up, or start running? Okay, he was spinning his. Okay. So anyway. Oh, okay, Lovey. Well, Carlos Baena, the director, he had lost his dad a couple of years before, and I love the way he directed all of the lovely Vulcans standing amongst me, or within which I'm standing, and me. This idea that there's a gentleman at the end of his life, and we're all here to pay homage to this life, and so I felt like Carlos brought the emotional component to the day, to the other actors, to the supporting actors, to me, to all of us, and he was essential. Technology is wonderful, and what people like Neil and other teams. Is Darren here today too? He might not be. What they do with the technology and the CGI and the rendering is insane, but it doesn't mean much if it doesn't have the emotion. And I feel like Unification is a perfect example of how you can do those things. You can put Bill's face on Sam Witwer. You can put Leonard's face on Lawrence Selleck, and you can have a deep, profound, beautiful, honest, authentic connection to these characters. And I feel like Jules Urbach and his company, OTOY, they're setting an example of doing it with such integrity and with proper deference and respect and compensation paid to the actors and to the estates of these actors if they're no longer alive, such as Nimoy's estate. So if you don't mind, we'll take another 8 minutes and look at that together for those of you who didn't get to see it. Because it took me months to figure this out, because I would try to find it I would go back to YouTube and try to find Unification. It's not, what's the word, Neil? It's not, what's it? Unlisted. It's unlisted. It's unlisted out of respect for Paramount. So you can't just Google the words Unification Star Trek and find it. What you'll find is a lot of marvelous submissions by fans who narrate the film as it's playing and sort of offer their insights or their emotional reaction to the film. But you won't find the film itself. You have to have the exact link or go to OTOY's website, which is kind of cool. Despite that, 28 million views plus. I think we're closing in on 29 maybe. 28,700,000 views, record-setting views for a film with a on YouTube for a film with a Star Trek theme. So, Bob, would you help me with that, or should I press something?
No, it's tough.
Let's see. Oh gosh. Okay, so this gentleman, this is Hiro Yada. He is what's the matter? Oh, okay. Oh God, two-fisted. Uh-oh. Anyway, Hiro, I was in, so I got the email, And enough discussion went back and forth between myself and OTOY in early 2024 that when I came out recreationally to see my brother and his wife in La Quinta, a couple of hours from LA, they thought, oh, this is a great opportunity for us to arrange your ears to be cast so that we can use them when we shoot later on this year. So this gentleman, Hiro Yada, when he was a little boy in Japan, right, he sees Coming to America, and a light bulb goes off. He wants to spend his life doing special makeup. And he comes to this country as a 22-year-old and manages to get an internship with Rick Baker. And the reason this is rather sweet is because Rick Baker is the husband of Sylvia Abascal, who did my hair on Star Trek 3 and 4. And so there I am with Hiro Yada, and we have this sort of interesting 6 degrees of separation situation going on. So he came out from LA, he did, and I'm gonna move these along, sorry. This is my brother and his wife's house. Such a professional. This took less than a half an hour to do. He ends up with he leaves with 2 molds. He's done amazing work. He did the work in Flowers of the something moon. Killer Moon. Thank you, dear heart. Yep, he did the body that they found by the river. He does amazing work. So that's Hiro. I immediately asked him how old he was and whether he was single. Very cute guy. He was a little shy, so we didn't take it any further than that. Now, this was in the previous film, but that is Emma Croft. She did my wig, she did my agent makeup, and I just thought she was awesome. Lawrence Selleck is standing behind me. He's the gentleman who's been playing Spock in anything that OTOY's produced. There's a close-up of my mug. And there I am with some of the agent stuff, the work around the mouth and et cetera, and under the eyes, and the wig. And this is when I first put the costume on at OTOY's beautiful offices in downtown Syracuse. And I don't know, guys, it's one of those things. Sometimes the costume is what makes your heart pound and the goose pimples go, and you stand differently, and suddenly you are the character. I've heard actors talk about this, most recently Ralph Fiennes in Conclave. He said the garments for that film absolutely transported the person wearing them to that place where they needed to be emotionally for the character. Another close-up of my mug. I can't believe how good they got the wig to replicate Savik's hair. Now this is in the trailer. We're on site. This is a month or 2 later, and that's the gentleman who played my son, Mark Chinnery. He turns out he's a passionate pickleball player like I am, and I met with him several times while I was in LA. Oh dear, did I go past anything? No. Okay. This is the group of people that was so respectful, standing for hours out in the sun in the Huntington Gardens, giving their best respect and seriousness, right, to the scene. I wanted to mention the gentleman. What's his name? Michael? No, hold on. The actor there, Sugar Booger. I can't put my, he played, I didn't understand this. He played, gosh darn it. Oh, wait a minute, I've got Sam and Lawrence. Oh, John Del Torio. It says he played Crusher. Okay, so now I'm confused because isn't Crusher a woman? The father, see? Thank you. Historians, all of you. Okay, awesome. Yeah, he was a lot of fun. And that's us playing pickleball in Burbank. Great bunch of people. Now, they did put us in the maroon costumes, right? And we did shoot some material I believe it was based on a comic book, but we haven't seen that yet. They haven't done anything with the footage yet. But I just wanted to sort of share a little variety with you. Not sure why I included this, but it was an interesting post. Mark and I, again, having fun. So I wanted to show an example of this, guys, because while you're shooting, right, Jules and the director, Carlos, they were able to come over with the tablet and show you in real time. You're literally holding the tablet. You look like yourself at 68 years of age, and they're putting your 28-year-old face on you simultaneously. So while you're playing the scene, at least they get to see what the younger version will look like, and is it working? And I believe that's actually Lawrence's face. That's not Leonard Nimoy's face, but that's obviously my young face. And again, my young face. It's just mind blowing what they can do, and the seamlessness of it. And there we are. Again, you didn't see this footage in Unification, so at some point in the future, perhaps it'll get utilized. And we're having a little Vulcan foreplay there. Oh, this guy, Dave Blass, great, talented gentleman. Yeah, kudos. His work is interspersed throughout the Star Trek world. Amazing. What was his thing? Picard?
Yeah.
Did he work on Picard? Thank you. Great guy. And again, a lovely moment that Carlos grabbed a still shot of anyway. Oh God, doesn't that look like Leonard Nimoy to you? Just like Spock. And there we are. More the beautiful costumes. Just Mildred Vaughn did the costumes, and she is just beyond talented. So what this year also wrought for me, you know, I couldn't talk about Unification, but I had shot it by this point. This is now August in Vegas, right, guys? And I see Kirk Thatcher for the first time in 40 years. And I don't know why, but they made me up as a Bajoran. Is that a Bajoran? Trill. Okay, yeah, they had me on stage with Michael Westmore doing the Trill makeup. But Kirk, so wonderful to see him. And then who else did I get reunited with? Vaj Pratenza, the young Spock. He was Spock for like maybe all of 4 seconds in Star Trek 3. And great guy. We reunited at Trek Long Island. And then this happened last year. So I was sitting at my table, and Christopher Lloyd was situated just diagonally from me. And I said to the people standing by, I said, you know, when I worked with him, I was too shy to speak with him. I hadn't even seen Taxi at the time, and I thought I'll just make a complete fool of myself if I go up and try to discourse with this man. Even small talk, you know, I just thought I'll reveal how completely, you know, unversed I am in his career. And so I you know, with just like Gene Roddenberry, I was too shy and too intimidated, so I didn't really say much to him other than good morning. So I willed myself to go across the aisle and say hello and tell him how much I loved his work and what an amazing career he's had. And he was lovely. You know, I don't know why we're like that, so shy sometimes to speak to another human being, but he couldn't have been more gracious, and we both got a little emotional, a little teary with each other. So sweet. So sweet. He's had such an amazing long career. Okay, so now move forward from the summer. Finally, I kept waiting and waiting and waiting for the release of Unification. And finally, they chose to honor James Cawley and his little sci-fi, his little Star Trek museum up in Ticonderoga, New York, which is about a 4-hour drive from where I live in central New York, with the first airing. And Mr. Shatner was there, sitting in the captain's chair with all the honored guests around him. Very, very cool. So I watched it for the first time with Bill Shatner. And I have to say, I didn't know what to expect being around the man for the first time in decades, because he didn't have any time for me at the time we worked together. He was, you know, very removed from the whole set and you know, getting to know anybody. So I didn't really think a lot of him. It was really more the way he disdained his fellow cast members. I think that affected my opinion of the gentleman. I thought his work was insane as an actor. A big fan of Boston Legal. So I was a little nervous and insecure that, I don't know how's he going to treat me through the course of this weekend. He couldn't have been more wonderful. Like, I don't know what's happened, what's transformed in him. I don't know whether it was going to space or sooner than that. But the gentleman, what's that? His wife? His wife. Seriously, that's what you attribute it to? Okay.
I used to train horses for that time.
Well. James Cawley told me, the owner of the museum, that Bill has made a decision that for the rest of his life, and I don't know when this decision was made, it could have been 5 years ago, he wants to do as much good in this world as he can do. He couldn't have been more generous with the fans, more warm, more funny. He's a very entertaining guy, very funny, very smart. And we watched the film, and then we got into this almost an hour-long conversation about OTOY's work, rendering, the CGI, all of it, and Bill was just one question after another. That's Bill and me, obviously, and Lawrence, Larry, and Jewel Urbach's wife, who plays Yeoman Colt. Is that right? May, and I, you know what? I went to the internet to say her name, her last name, and now I'm not going to be able to say it. It's Tessa. It's an interesting French name. She's French, and she's lovely. I'm not going to worry about it. I went, let's see. No, there we go. Oh, and there's another one. Darren, okay, and Ethan Teller, the gentleman far right who reached out to me in the email, fabulous guy, and Jules Urbach, the creator of OTOY, and childhood chum of Rod Roddenberry. Did I say that already? Like, isn't it amazing what comes of a middle school friendship? And Jules could have gone to Harvard. He could have gone to Yale. He chose not to. He chose to pursue coding because that's what jazzed him. And he's one of the most brilliant people you'll ever meet. And still a very beautiful friendship with Rod Roddenberry. And the work that they do together. I say that, what two people can do with the means and the imagination and the right love and heart, they can do anything. Larry and me, obviously, good guy, such a good guy. And that's Jason, who turned me on to all of you again for the second time. Hi, Jason. He couldn't be here today, and there's the t-shirt. Isn't that the coolest t-shirt? I love it. I love it. Oh, and this is Frank Dietz and me from 2006. You guys, they took me to the Louisville Zoo on the Monday after the convention. We went behind the scenes. I think I fed a polar bear. I'm not sure. Oh, and so then 2004 into 2005, the gift that just kept on giving, the blessings. Oh my God, my cup overflows, as my mother said when I was born. She really did say that. The daughter after a son. OTOY invites me out to be with them at the Saturn Awards. All these years in my association with science fiction, I've never been to a Saturn Award. It's our peeps. Our peeps are there. Anybody connected to the horror sci-fi world. And we just had a blast. And once they found out I was coming, they asked Sam Witwer and I to be presenters. So that meant I had to go up on stage and actually talk and read off a prompter. You can see Adam Nimoy joined us. He's a second from the right. The Yakutas, awesome people. The Sam Witwer is to my right. That's the gentleman who played Kirk. OTOY's team. Carlos Baina's on his knees there in front of me. There he is, super guy. Oh my God, his career. He started an online school for animation. He, where the dickens is he? He's a career professional animator and co-founder of an online animation school. What are some of the specific credits of his? Are you aware of them or no? Maybe not. No. Carlos's credits. Okay, cool. Yeah, he's done all the shorts, I think, for OTOY. And Unification was either a third or a fourth in the series. Yeah. Great guy. these are just, you know, it was my first red carpet event ever. So much fun. Um, and that's inside the room. Oh, that's Jules and his wife May. Such a wonderful couple. They have a small boy. This is Edward Almos, Edward James Almos, winning an award for his career. The reason they were all coming to the event because Bill was receiving a Life Achievement Award. This is Sam and I going over our banter, the banter, you know, the banter before you give the award. And this is me telling him, look, I'm not going out there unless it's on the paper. Because I said to him, I don't do well, you know, just vamping, not on national television. So he's laughing at me. Anyway, and that was, somebody was kind enough to take a picture of that because we were already on stage. And those are the words introducing us on the prompter. So there you go, kindly taking a photo. We got our banter out. We didn't fall over ourselves. And there's Bill. He did a spectacular job. Friends taking pictures of the whole situation. Me playing pickleball again with my son Mark Chinnery and Bill. You know, I had the best year of my life. I would venture to say he's having the best year of his life. Right, guys? 94, never too late. Okay, and once again, the gift that keeps on giving. Very recently, and this is where I wouldn't mind pulling you up here for a minute. How much time do I have left? Have I squandered all my time?
20 minutes.
20 minutes. Oh my God, I've got plenty of time. Get up here, Neil. So this was something that Jules put together and his company OTOY. It was the first inaugural, same word, RenderCon. Okay. Now, from left to right, we got Jules Urbach, Ariel Emanuel, Richard Karras, Rod Roddenberry, Imad Mostak, and Mike Winkleman. I don't remember meeting him. People. Yeah. Give us an idea who those people are to you.
Yeah. Jules is my boss at OTOY. Yeah. By the way, my name is Neil.
Hi, Neil.
I work at the Roddenberry Archive. I live in Cincinnati, and we have artists all around the world working for the archive. Anyway, so Jules is my boss. He's like Robin said, he's a man that has, you know, you say you got like a foot into the future, or maybe an elbow or something like that. He's got like all of one side, and like 3/4 of this thigh into the future. And he's a brilliant man. Anyway, Ari Emanuel is one of his great friends, is a investor in OTOY, and they've been known each other for years. Same with Richard Karras.
And you should know Ari Emanuel, right? He's the brother of Ram Emanuel.
Yeah.
Very accomplished family. The siblings, Ari Emanuel, well, that gentleman, right? He owned what the casting, William Morris, and then it became
Yes. I don't.
the other big group.
Yeah.
Do you love it? We don't know the name of this company, but it's massive. Like, it's not NVIDIA. It's some big agency. Like,
Yeah.
He's huge. Okay,
Yeah.
carry on. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, you're fine. Rob Roddenberry is the son of Gene Roddenberry, as you all know that, and also best friends of Jules Urbach since they were kids. Jules said he spent more time in the Roddenberry household than in his own household, and they just grew up together. And years in planning was once Rod became aware of Star Trek and became a fan of Star Trek, because Rod really didn't give a crap about Star Trek growing up.
Yeah.
Once he became aware of that, he was like, we need to find some way to preserve all of this stuff, you know, for the future. And so that's what the Roddenberry Archive ended up being. I don't know Imad, but Mike Winkleman, also known as Beeple, is a guy who worked in the visual effects and motion graphics world. Really great computer guy, very creative. He's done a piece of art every day. He calls them every days. And he's done a piece of art every day, I think now for like 15 years.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe not quite 15, but I know it's way over 10 or 11. And he's just, his brain is just way different than all of ours, but he is such a really cool dude. But he's also involved in
Hollywood at these cool studios, Naya Studios, that they transformed into, oh my goodness, I mean, a lot of money was spent. Lush breakfast was offered for the day, it was $99, and you got to hear these world-class people at the top of their game speak. That's Carlos, Jules, and Leo, the cinematographer for Unification. Very talented men and good friends. Me and Carlos at the event. So it was very sweet of Jules to organize the actors in a panel to talk about what it's like to work with CGI and all that good stuff. But this was, Neil, you were a part of my favorite panel that Darren moderated. And this is the group of artists. They're sprinkled throughout the country. And you know Mike and Denise Okuda, center stage. And I can tell you the other names. It's Jeff Holman and Mark Spatney. Is that how you say his name? Donnie Versaja. Yeah. These guys, they connect. How often? Every 2 weeks? Ish? Every week on a Friday, right? You Zoom. And what Neil was telling you a moment ago, you again, this was my favorite panel, because if you are a little OCD, right? And any kind of a detail person, recreating this stuff and preserving this stuff takes like insane research and insane attention to detail and almost an indefatigable effort to get to verify that something really was exactly that way back 50 years ago. And these guys are tireless about it. They have such integrity about it, and they don't give up until they get it right. And that was one of the most, your panel was seriously so cool. And it's such a worthy mission, to preserve. Just talk a little bit more about that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, the mission of the Roddenberry Archive is to digitally preserve everything that Gene Roddenberry created in his lifetime, basically, focusing on Star Trek. We're starting with Star Trek, and then we'll eventually, along the lines, getting to like the Lieutenant and stuff that he did before and after Star Trek, but we're mostly concerned on Star Trek right now, and we are digitally recreating every set, prop, spaceship model, costume, script, anything that he had his hands in, we are recreating, because we want people to realize, we all know that Star Trek is more than just a TV show. It's birthed an ethos, and it has something to say. People 100 years from now won't know that unless we tell them. And that's the point of the archive, is to develop this, whatever it is. We don't know what it is yet, because technology hasn't caught up with us yet, because we're right now, we're just building all these assets. We're building the Enterprise, a one-to-one of the refit Enterprise from the motion picture, that eventually, hopefully, you'll be able to like virtually walk around it from, the top down and everything like that. And that just doesn't exist right now. It exists if you've got like a supercomputer in LA or something, and you're wearing these glasses that, weigh 20 pounds or something like that. You only do it for half an hour, or the building will explode because there's so much heat generated. But 30 years from now, that's going to be easy. That's going to be so simple, and that's what the archive is. And so we're just building all this stuff, cataloging all this stuff, getting all this stuff, so that people in the future will know who the hell Gene Roddenberry was and know what he did.
So for a numbskull like me, when you say you're recreating it digitally, you don't mean you're building the physical ship and then getting a camera around it. You're saying you're building a virtual ship.
Yes.
So that I can put on those thingamabobs and get into it.
Yeah.
Or I can read anything he ever wrote.
Yes.
It's almost like you're building a supercomputer that's holding everything that was Gene Roddenberry ever.
The core idea of this is we want to build the holodeck from next gen. We want to build something that you can go in there and say, all right, I want to see the shuttle bay of the Enterprise F. And then there it is. I want to see the bridge of the Enterprise. No bloody A, no bloody B, no bloody C. And yeah, and they're going to do that. And I mean, you guys are all mostly physical builders and everything like that. But and I am too. But there's a crossover between digital building and physical building, and you know you're treating a surface right, and you're looking at it, and at that one moment you're like, that's it, I got it, and the 99% before that, you just look at it, you say, oh, this looks like shit, this looks like shit, this looks like shit, and then at one point you're like, oh, that's it, and that's what we do. And we constantly do that with each other because we know this is important. We know we need to get it right. So if this, I don't know, like this one grill on the floor of the Enterprise NX-01 isn't the right shape of grill, then we'll go back in 2 weeks when someone says, hey, you did that wrong, and we'll fix it. You know, because it's really important to us to be accurate and to preserve all this stuff.
Jules speaks almost reverently, poetically about the holodeck.
Yeah.
Like from a brainy person's point of view. I can't even, like, it's beyond me.
Yeah.
I can't articulate what does he see that as a, like the way
he sees that as a goal.
A goal.
Yeah, and they're getting very, very close to being able to do actual like holograms, like honest to God Princess Leia hologram, and it's very, very close, and I can honestly say before I die, I will probably walk into a room that will function at least 99% similarly to the holodeck.
Okay, while I was there,
And I don't know how that works, but it does.
Neil, while I was there at OTOY's offices, premises, they had a 360-degree sphere that you took steps up into. You stood in the center of it, and it was a series of lights in every moment of the sphere, and cameras, and you had to stand in different positions, right, and different facial expressions, etc. Is that to make a holodeck version of, like, what do you call that?
That's a 3D scan.
Okay.
And what that does is 3D scanning. You use like a bunch of bajillion photos
Okay.
or videos,
Right.
which is even crazier,
Okay.
of something, and then that gets fed into the computer, and a 3D model is generated from that.
Okay.
For the existing models and props that we have from Star Trek, we actually, in addition to building them ourselves 3D, we do scan most of them. So we actually have a one-to-one representation of what this prop actually looked like. Because when we're making, let's say, a phaser, we want to make it look like a phaser, not like a prop phaser that was built by some guy in 1966, which there's nothing wrong with that by any means, but you know what I'm saying.
Our brains want
That
more.
stuff, we look at a phaser, we know what it looks like, but you actually go back and look at one of those things, you're like, oh my God, I could have done that when I was drunk. And, you know, but we do want to capture that. You want to capture that the imperfections and all that, because what you were talking about, it's technology, but technology doesn't mean anything unless you have people interacting with it. And so our technology, when we are building a prop, if there's like a big wedge chucked out of it that was there and you see it on the film and it's wrong, we will build that in there, because it's important to us to say, this isn't something we're building. This is something that Watch Hang built in the 60s, and we want to make sure that that's what it looks like.
Cool. Guys, I feel like I've talked. I'm sorry, not at all. No. This was my favorite panel. I tried to attend everything at RenderCon during the day, and a lot of times, you know, the greeting card that shows an owner with its dog, and it's speaking to the dog, and it's saying, "Sit down, Fido," and the dog hears blah blah blah. That was me at this event, except for the most part when you guys were talking. That I understood, and that I loved, and it hit me right on the heart muscle. So we have given you a lot of food for thought,
But I'd love to open it up for questions because I feel badly. Yes, go ahead, darling.
What was it like to reprise your role as Savick in Star Trek 4? What was the process of you being called back?
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, at the time, I was led to expect a lot more was going to happen. I mentioned in the. Yes, he did. He said, bring an obstetrician on board. Welcome back. No, but so guys, in order to prevent what had happened with Kirstie Alley back in Star Trek 3, they negotiated 4 films at the time they cast me in 3. And this was another reason I think my father could breathe a sigh of relief that I would be okay, because they negotiated $30,000 for the first film, 75, oh my God, more than double for Star Trek 4, 150 for the 5th film, and 225 for the 6th. But these were options that had to be exercised within a certain amount of time of the end of principal photography on 3 and before 4. And they let that option lapse. And they told my representatives, my manager, that I wasn't in the script, which baffled me no end, because here they sort of left you, in suspense about what resulted from our little, tete-a-tete in the cave there. And I couldn't believe that they were just going to not bring the, not show sort of a period to the character. And then lo and behold, after the option ended and they no longer had to pay me what they had agreed to 2 years earlier, they said, oh yeah, by the way, she is in the movie and we're going to need her for 4 days and we're going to pay her $10,000. It's okay, like I had no negotiating ground to stand on, so I said yes and thank you, and did what I was told, and so you asked me what